Hey, Shalom, Markins, Rakam, Kapashim, Jimis London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bar Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chachwadash. I want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, who taught us this truth. Want to, send out blessings and honors out there to the brothers out there on the highways and byways, teaching this truth in all sincerity also, right? So, I just want to get into this topic of what is a new moon, right? Because we know we've got the IUIC teaching that the new moon is a full moon. They believe that the beginning of the month begins with a full moon, a moon full of light. Right? That's what a full moon is. So they equate the beginning of a month, which is what a new moon is supposed to represent, as a full moon, right? And it sounds ludicrous, and it is. These men are lunatics, right? And they've lost the plot, right? They somehow think or believe that everything that has existed in history, in terms of these lunar calendars, right? Everybody is in consensus that a new moon is a dark moon, right? Where you don't see light. That's the beginning of a new month, right? And it's been like that throughout history, right? But they believe that they've somehow been deceived, or we've all been deceived, and that's not the truth. And the truth to them is that the beginning of the month begins with a full moon. All right, for whatever reason they believe this. I'm not going to go into the whole why they believe it, but what I'm just going to go do is I was just doing a bit of digging in the scriptures and into words, because our elders and apostles, they encourage us to look into words and stuff, right? So I did a little digging. This is not going to be a long video, Lord willing, right? I've only got a few precepts here, right? But we're going to go into some of this stuff here, right? And I'm going to start here in Psalms 81. And it says here in verse 3, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day, right? So when I was looking up this originally, the reason why this scripture came out to me is because it was in a different translation, and it mentioned the full moon in the same sentence, right? Showing you a differentiation between the new moon and the full moon, right? So just so we can clarify that there is a difference between a full moon and a new moon. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go into, I think it was it might have been the ESV that I read that in, right? But I can actually just go there. If I come out of this, even the NLT will tell you this, I think. Yeah, right. So in the blue letter here, right, you got KJV on the left, NLT on the right. Okay, in verse 3 it'll tell you, blow the ram's horn. This is an NLT now. Blow the ram's horn at the new moon, and again at full moon, to call a festival. Now, what festival or feast day is this speaking about? This is actually speaking about the Passover, right? So there's two different phases, obviously, in this moon, right? There's a new moon and there's a full moon, and there's a difference between the two of them. Okay, so what we're gonna do, just to clarify all of this madness, is, that's not what I wanted, is go into these words, right? So here for in the new moon, right, the word is, Hadash, right? And it says the new moon month, right? Because that's what you're really reading. When you read in the new moon, it means in the month, in the beginning of the month. That's what you're reading, because the moon is the beginning of months. Okay, which we're gonna grab that in a minute. But let's stick with this here, right? First, right? So when you're reading this, it says in the new moon, in the beginning of the month, right? In the appointed time in that month. Okay, which would be the full moon. Okay, because that's what the Passover lands on. It lands on the full moon. Okay, so, right, so back in here, right? So Hadash, right? The new moon, monthly, the first day of the month, right? That's what the new moon is meant to represent, right? The lunar month. Kadash, the new moon, by implication, a monthly new moon. Let's see what else we got here. Pretty much the same thing. Right? I can't see any new information in that, right? So what we're going to do is go also into the etymology of this word, right? So we're going to find out what a new moon is, right? And Hadash, where we pronounced it, right? So it says to be new, to renew, repair, right? To renew, make anew, to repair, to renew oneself, right? Oh, here's the bit that I wanted, that I remember reading, right? It says to be new, causatively, to rebuild, right? What's being rebuilt? Right? The moon is being rebuilt in terms of it's going back to its fullness, right? It's being built up again. It's increasing again. A new moon, it starts from zero. So dark is zero, right? Right. And the full moon is 100% illumination, right? 100% illuminated. It's being built up again to that level, right? That's the phase it goes in, right? Dark to fuller light, back to dark again. And that will be the end of your month, right? Where your new moon is, the 15th, 14th, 15th day of that month, and it's full of light, 100%, fully built. Okay, it's been fully renewed. Okay, it is the beginning of that rebuilding. Okay, that's what's happening. And to support that, we're going to grab, this is the main scripture, but I've already got a couple here, right? But it's Sirach chapter 43, verse 6, said he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feasts. Okay, we all know this, right? A light that decreaseth in her perfection, right? Now, what is this talking about? What does this really mean? Right, as we know, the Passover happens in the middle of the month. Okay, the 14th or the 15th day, right? Where the moon is full. From hence on, it decreases, as they call it in the lunar world, right? For lack of better words, right? What do they call that? It wanes, right? The first 2 weeks it waxes to that 100% illumination, so it becomes full of light, right? The full moon is full of light, right? Because it's not full of darkness. Whoever describes anything like that, right? It's become full of light. A full moon is a moon full of light, and we already determined that there's a separation between a new moon and a full moon. They're two separate things. They're two opposites, right? In terms of how they visually look, right? So a full moon is full of light, okay? And in the time of feast, it decreases at the point of, because the majority of our feast days actually occur on a full moon or halfway in the month. The majority of our feast days, right? So it goes on to say, verse 8, the month is called after a name, right? Because it's the beginning of the month, right? But what does it say here? Increasing wonderfully in her changing, right? So at the beginning of the month, it increases. It increases to the point it becomes full, and then it decreases. Like I said, in the feast days, from that feast day, or from the Passover specifically in this case, it decreases from that time onwards, right? Until it becomes dark again, okay? Representing the end or the beginning of the new month, right? So the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Okay, so it's describing how the moon works, right? And how we're supposed to be reading it. Okay, so it's rebuilding. From the new moon, it rebuilds itself to a full moon, okay, which is the middle of the month, okay, where we have the majority of our feast days, and then from that point onwards, it decreases, it wanes, okay, until it becomes dark once again, beginning a new month, okay, to do the cycle all over again. You got the words renew, repair. Okay, the light's being returned onto it, but it starts off as dark. Right? It starts off as dark. Okay? And if we go in the time appointed, right? Because you'll say, oh, but in the KJV it doesn't say full moon. But it does. But it does. Right? And what's this Kasa, right? I think, right? So outline of biblical use is full moon, right? And it says here, apparently from H3680, properly fullness, or the full moon, its festival time appointed, right? It's fullness. So there's a difference between a new moon and a full moon. A new moon is not full, right? But a full moon is full, right? Well, I say obviously, but obviously these men they don't get it. But a new moon is not full, right? And as we just read in Sirach, that it increases. Okay, from the beginning of the month, it increases in her perfection to a fullness, right? Becoming illuminated, fully illuminated, right? From thence, it decreases again. Okay? So yeah, again, properly fullness or the full moon, i.e. its festival time appointed. All right? So it's all here, man. It's just these guys think they're onto something different, innit? And the Lord has just got them going in that direction. You know, and I looked up as well, because there are other guys at this apparently that believe in this doctrine separate from IUIC, because I know the elders and apostles, they were going into it at the weekend at the camp, and like, because this is just weird. No one teaches this, but there is others out there apparently, and there's even I think, because I even found like a document or something like that, right, that written by some, what I'd probably assume was some Israelite dude, one of those types, right, going against that doctrine and bringing out his evidences or whatever, because apparently there's guys that believe in this new moon, full moon doctrine, okay, which it doesn't make any sense, like, it doesn't, okay, and so, and like I say, it's all here in the scripture. All you got to do is go into the words and link it up with the scripture, and you can see how things are supposed to work. How this whole lunar calendar that we got now, like you got apps and stuff that you can watch. You can see the lunar, the lunar phases and whatever. It's not made up, right? Esau doesn't make it up and just give it to the whole world and everyone believes it just because he said that. It's not him. He didn't come up with that. these lunar calendars or these lunar phases have existed and have been understood throughout all these different ancient peoples, man. Right? It's been like this. Right? It's not something Esau just made up and whatever. Okay, that's how they used to deal with the lunar calendars, man. That's how it is understood. All right. So, what I have here, right? So, it's Exodus chapter 12, verse 2, right? This month shall be unto you the beginning of months, right? So again, the moon represents the beginning of months, right? It shall be the first month of the year to you, right? And this is where, our Passover falls in the first month, on the 14th day, then begins the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? But the beginning of the month is a dark moon, man, because it has no fullness. It increases to its fullness. And like I said, the majority of our high holy days or our feast days, they fall on full moons. They fall in the middle of the month. So just going back here in Sirach 43, I'll read it again. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. And I explained that, right? Because I said most of our feasts begin in the middle of the month. And so from that point, it decreases, right? But prior to that, it increases. Okay, which shows you the full moon, or the moon that is fully illuminated, is in the middle of those two phases, man. Right? So the beginning of it is dark, right? And the end is dark. Okay? The month is called after a name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the throne of heaven. Right? So again, the month is called after her name because it is the beginning of months. It is the beginning of the month. It's the first day of the month. Right? And it has to increase to reach its perfection. Right? Has to increase to reach, full illumination. Okay? But then it decreases, just like it says, right? Right. So that's all it is, really. I don't really need to bring nothing else out, because that's just the basis of it, man. Okay, it's not really all that complicated, But like I say, guys, I don't know. We don't know what the law is doing to these guys, man. But the law's just just bugging them out, man. All these different wacky tacky doctrines, man. But I thought I'd just do this video quickly to show you that what they're teaching is incorrect, So, with that, all it's been edifying. And I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. So, till next time, I say shalom.